Alright, so we want to move on to the next part of our application, and in this part what we want to focus on is we want to create user profiles. So we want to set up a functionality that allows us to create user profiles for application, right? Even though we are already handling authentication using Clerk, we don't really have the stored user data that would allow us to create more data sets and basically manipulate this data and assign ownership inside the application, right? So in order for us to be able to work with this, we need to create profiles for them, right? Let's not waste too much time, let's just get started. So what I'll do is I'll just open up the app folder right here, and then as you can see, this is the index, and then this is the routes organizational folder right here that we created the other time. What we want to do is we want to quickly delete them, so let's not waste too much time. What I'll do is we already inside the root, so what I'll do is I'll just do my rf just like that. I'll go into the app, and then I'll go into the organizational index right here. I hope it recognizes it, to be honest. So yeah, then I think routes right here, routes. Okay, routes, just like that, and that should basically delete. Okay, so yeah, it's not recognizing it, so I guess we have to delete them manually. Alright, I just wanted to see if that one will work faster. Alright, okay, so yeah, it did work fast, so I guess we can just use that one for now. So now that we have this index already set up right here, what we want to do is we want to create a new folder here, a new organizational folder called setup, just like that, right? And then inside this setup right here, this is what we are going to use to create, or this is how we are going to use to write the logic that allows us to create new profiles, or handle new profiles for our newly authenticated users, right? So inside this setup right here, what we want to do is we want to create a page.tsx just like this, and then inside this page.tsx we can quickly just use our RAFCE, right, to generate this component right here. And right after using our RFCE, we can just change the name right here. So over here we can just make it what, setup page, just like this. Alright, so now that we've been able to work on that, what we quickly want to do is we want to work on the thing that would allow us, or the library, or the util library that is going to allow us to manipulate this, right? So what we are going to do is we're going to collapse this real quick, and then we open this lib folder right here. Then inside this lib folder, what we are going to do is we're going to create a new file called what, initial profile .tsx, just like this. We would have done it .ts, but the most recent documentation for Clerk uses a component for what you're about to do instead, so we need to make it a JSX. Alright, so now that we've been able to understand this, the first thing we are going to do is, okay, you know what we are going to do right now is we are going to export the function, and it's going to be an export const initial profile, just like that, initial profile, just like that. And then we have a sync. We open up the brackets, and inside here we say const user, just like that, and then we await what, current user, just like this. Alright, so you can see that we have this right here. Nice one. So we have if, so if what, it's not, so if it's not the, or if there is no user right here, what do we want to do? We want to quickly return, so we want to return what, redirect to sign in right here, redirect to sign in right here, just like that. Alright, so you can see that all of them are coming together, they are being imported right above here, nice and clean. So right after we've been able to do that, what we want to do is we want to check if this logged in user already has a profile, right? So how are we going to check? We are going to say what const profile, just like this. Then we say what await db, right? But where are we getting this db from? We're going to be getting the db right from this same place, so we can just import it just like that. You can see that we've been able to import a db. Then we say what profile here dot find unique, just like this. All right, then we open up the brackets and then we open up the objects. Then we say that where, so we say where, and then this inside this where we are going to check inside the user id, and then which id are we checking? The user, the logged in user dot id, just like this, nice and clean. All right, so now that we have been able to set this up, the next thing we want to do is we want to come and then check, right? So if the profile has been discovered, or if the logged in user already has a profile, right, what we are going to do is we're simply going to return the profile that the logged in user has, just like that, nice and clean. And the next thing is, if in case the profile is not found, then what we want to do is we want to create a new profile for that user. So we can just say new profile, just like this, and inside here make your equal to, then you say what await, then you take the db dot what profile dot create, like the usual, so dot create. Then inside we would do what, we take the data, so inside the data we would say what user id, just like this, is going to be user dot id, just like that. And then we would say the name is also going to be what, we can just take the first name and then the last name if there is any, right? So we can just say what, so user dot first name, just like this. So user dot first name, just like that. All right, and in case there is a last name too, so we can say what user dot last name, just like this. All right, nice and clean. So now that we've been able to set up it up like this, what we want to quickly do is we can just come down and then we say what image url, just like that. And then this image url is going to be this logged in user dot image url, just like that. All right, then we are going to set up the email field too as well, and then we say what this email is going to be this logged in user dot email addresses. Then we take the first item inside the email addresses array dot what email address, just like this, and then we are set. All right, so now that we've been able to work this out, we want to say that after all of these have been done, what we want to do is we want to simply return our new profile, just like that. All right, nice and clean. So right after setting this up, what we want to quickly do is we want to quickly come into the page.tsx and then do a couple of things. All right, so inside this setup and come into the page.tsx, right? So this is still going to be a server component. So what we are going to do is let's first of all pass in our async right here, nice and clean. Then right after passing in the async, what we want to do is we want to come here and then call the profile, right? So we say profile, and this profile is okay, so this profile is going to be equal to what await, so await what initial profile, the one that we had created, right? So we just import that, nice and clean. Just need to import it. Okay, so it just got imported, nice and clean, just like that. All right, so now that we have that one, the next thing we want to do is we want to quickly come down here and we want to check for server, right? So we want to check if this user profile has a server, right, or it belongs to a certain server. So we say what server is equal to what, is equal to this db, So we want to import the db from the lib/db, just like that. So the db dot what server, just like that. Then we'll find first. So we'll find first, just like this. We'll open up and we will check where. So where are we trying to find it from? We want to check the members, just like that. Then inside we want to check for some, and then let us check for what. So we are saying that we want to check for profile id, just like that. So profile id, just like that, and that is going to be the profile dot id, just like this, nice and clean. So now that we've been able to set this up nicely, what we want to quickly do is we want to come down here, and then we want to do a few checks. So if you check and then we realize that the user belongs to a certain server, or there's a server has been discovered, what we want to do is what we want to navigate. So we'll say what return what redirect. So return redirect, and this one we're going to import it from next/navigation right here. Then we would open up these backticks, just like that, and then inside the backticks we'll say what service slash, then we open up this $sign, just like that. Then inside we say what server dot id, just like this, nice and clean. And then right after all this is done, you can already see that it is going to yeah, we are already returning this setup page. You can see it right here right now. This is a great job, but there's one more thing we just want to fix. So you can see that all these parts right here have their have some TypeScript errors assigned to them, right? Okay, so how we are going to quickly fix that is we are simply going to assign a type right here. So we can quickly assign a type right here, right? So assign this type, but it will still show, but like it will show on this one. So just so I could avoid it, we just added this and any, but we still benefit from it at the long run, because when I do dot, I still get to see what the ID, just like that. It will show. So so ID, just like this. Okay, dots what. So I wish you would see the snippets, but it looks like it's a little slow. I don't know why it has become slow, but yeah, at the end of the day it works. And yeah, so for the server too, what we want to do is we want to come here, and then we want to call in the server, just like that. Alright, then you take it from what prisma/client. Make sure you take note of all the imports that we are doing here, because we are not doing them directly. What we are doing is we are actually just using the stuff, and then we just import them once we need them. So make sure that you take note of all the imports, and we should be good from there. Alright, so what we'll do right now is we just refresh, just like this, and then the next move that we are going to take is we are going to say npx what npx prisma studio, just like that, and then that should show us that should quickly generate a link that would allow us to see our SQL table, our SQL rules, right, with our data inside them. Alright, so it's going to take some time to generate, so I'll just pause the video. Once it's done, then we now see what is going on. Alright, so once you see this prompt, don't waste too much time, just press Y and hit enter, and then that should install. Then after a while we should be able to view our Prisma Studio right now. Okay, so as you can see, our Prisma Studio is done and has been set up on localhost 555, and it automatically opened up right here, and you can see that we already have the user information right here inside our row, just like how it would in MySQL. Alright, nice and clean. Now if we go back and then we go to try to refresh and all that stuff, and we come back, you realize that we still have the same data inside here. We do not have duplicate user profiles over here. That is because of our necessary checks that we made inside the code, nice and clean. Alright, so now that we have been able to understand and have been able to set up the profile aspects of things inside our application, we can quickly move on to work on much more important stuff in the next video. So thank you very much for getting to this part, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.